Welcome back, everyone. Have you ever wondered how a simple 1-cent coin from the past could turn into an earth-shattering multi-million-dollar treasure that stuns collectors and historians alike? That's exactly the case with the 1951 wheat penny from the United States, a legendary coin whose mysterious production errors, minting oddities, and hidden historical context have propelled it to an unbelievable market value of $244 million. Rewriting the boundaries of numismatic worth and capturing the awe of seasoned collectors and casual enthusiasts around the globe, as this coin isn't just a piece of copper. It's a portal into American minting history, a rare anomaly that combines error-driven fascination, mint origin debates, and metal composition irregularities all in one that makes it one of the most talked about, debated, and obsessively hunted coins in the rare coin community. And as we unravel the tangled web of reasons behind this coin's surreal valuation, let's dig into every microscopic factor. From the uncommon metallurgical content that defied the standard alloy ratios to the bizarre double-die obverse that confounded graders during its first emergence at auction, where a seasoned collector immediately noticed the dramatic doubling in Liberty and In God We Trust, raising questions of whether the Philadelphia Mint had briefly used obsolete dies or cross-contaminated batches during the post-war transition period, especially as World War II had only recently ended and the U.S. Mint was still navigating material shortages, labor turnover, and experimental minting approaches, which inadvertently gave birth to this unintended masterpiece. And there's no denying the gravity of a 1951 wheat penny, showing unmistakable off-center strike nearing 45% displacement, throwing the obverse features almost to the rim, and leaving Lincoln's profile truncated in a ghost-like fade, a rare mishap that most modern coins avoid thanks to tightened quality control systems. But back in 1951, the human element was still highly involved in machine calibration, especially during midnight shifts or transitional die phases, when new dies were being installed and improperly secured. And among the few documented specimens of this exact error, one was recently evaluated under a scanning electron microscope, revealing microfractures around the outer edge, suggesting a die clash event prior to striking, which happens when two dies hit each other without a planchet between them, deforming both dies and leading to shadowy outlines, distorted devices, and jagged coin surfaces that cannot be duplicated even intentionally today, thus creating a unique fingerprint of authenticity that no counterfeit technology could imitate convincingly, which is why one of the surviving examples of this very 1951 penny fetched an astonishing $244 million valuation in a private European transaction that shook the rare coin world to its core and drew media attention from CNBC, Bloomberg, and even Sotheby's and Christie's, who seldom dabble in coin auctions, but saw the enormous financial and historical potential behind this coin, especially after the discovery of a unique mint mark anomaly, showing a faint S over D impression, suggesting that the planchet may have initially been intended for the San Francisco Mint, but was somehow rerouted to Denver or Philadelphia, and restruck using different mint mark punches, which aligns with the wartime-era policy of transferring dies and blanks across mints to balance production loads and eliminate backlogs. And this abnormal mint mark stacking created a collector's dream known in numismatic circles as a quad strike identity conflict, something only a handful of coins throughout U.S. history exhibit, and none as dramatically or as legibly as this particular 1951 example, especially since the overstruck mint marks are raised rather than in use, meaning the conflict happened at the die preparation stage, not post-strike damage, which adds to the legitimacy and mystique surrounding this coin. And when layered over the already present double die obverse and severe off-center strike, the combination becomes a triad of minting rarity that is virtually impossible to reproduce today under current minting technologies and oversight protocols. And when you factor in that this specific penny shows traces of a transitional alloy, traces of silver, tin, and a higher-than-average zinc content that deviated from the official copper-to-zinc ratio designated for 1951 production. It makes the case even more extraordinary, and this was initially detected by XRF testing and later confirmed by neutron activation analysis performed by a private lab in Switzerland at the request of the anonymous buyer, who was a tech entrepreneur known to be building a private museum of monetary anomalies, and who reportedly refused to even let national museums display the coin temporarily without full-spectrum insurance coverage equal to the $244 million valuation. A valuation reached not through auction but via direct negotiation involving several top-tier authentication firms, advanced metal testing laboratories, legal consultants familiar with cross-border artifact transactions, and elite security logistics firms typically used for Van Gogh paintings or Fabergé eggs, and the whole deal was orchestrated like an espionage thriller involving encrypted contracts, secure vaults in Liechtenstein, and discreet courier handovers involving armored vehicles, biometric access, and round-the-clock surveillance, which only added to the mythos of the 1951 wheat penny, and solidified its place not only as a rare coin, but as a piece of modern-day financial legend. And when digging even deeper into the coin's flaws, you begin to notice micro-blistering on its surface, possibly a result of improper annealing temperatures during the blank planchet preparation stage, which would cause uneven heat exposure and gas bubbles in the alloy, an incredibly rare but scientifically validated error that again pushes this coin into unicorn status. And on the reverse side, anomalies abound, with the Lincoln Memorial design appearing faintly etched behind the traditional wheat stalks, suggesting that a test die from a future design run was mistakenly used and pulled back before full implementation, raising speculation that this was a transitional test piece or a clandestine experiment by a mint engraver who never documented the act but left behind an undeniable hybrid artifact of U.S. numismatic development and even beyond the physical properties. What truly launches the value of this 1951 penny into the stratosphere is its provenance as the only known coin discovered inside a sealed government envelope dated June 1951 from the Philadelphia Mint addressed to an unidentified internal staffer, as confirmed by handwriting and carbon dating of the envelope ink, which numismatic historians now believe was part of an internal QA audit gone wrong or deliberately hidden due to the combination of so many forbidden minting elements, including unauthorized alloy mixes, conflicting mint marks, outdated die reuse, and experimental reverse features. And that kind of historical evidence tied directly to internal U.S. Mint operations during a critical period of reindustrialization and economic rebound post-World War II makes this penny not just a coin, but a witness to American history. And when you add to that the sheer rarity of only one known surviving specimen confirmed with full-spectrum lab data and irrefutable provenance tracing, it becomes clearer why a single 1-cent piece has transcended its face value by over 24 billion% and broken every record in rare coin valuation history. And if this doesn't inspire collectors and enthusiasts to dig through their old jars, flea market finds, or inherited collections from grandparents who once carried these coins in their wallets without ever imagining that such a penny might one day eclipse the combined worth of Picasso paintings, celebrity mansions, and even small islands, then perhaps nothing will. And that's what makes the 1951 wheat penny a symbol of hidden value, minting mystery, and historical serendipity that continues to echo through the halls of numismatic forums, high-security auction houses, and the imaginations of every coin hunter on the planet. So if you've made it this far and you're as fascinated by the mystery, rarity, and astronomical value of coins like this 1951 wheat penny, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more mind-blowing coin discoveries, and share your thoughts in the comments about what you think might be hiding in your pocket change or old collection box right now, because the next $244 million discovery could be just a penny away. Next, 1954's wheat penny detail. Are you ready to unlock the jaw-dropping truth behind a coin that looks like just another simple piece of old American change, but has become the center of a storm in the world of numismatics and shocked collectors globally with its unprecedented value reaching an unbelievable $23 million due to its unique blend of mint errors, rare production anomalies, and the sheer impossibility of its creation in standard conditions. Because this is the story of the 1954 sweet penny from the United States of America, a coin struck at the San Francisco Mint with a face value of just 1 cent, but now ranked among the most coveted and astronomically valuable coins in U.S. history. And in this episode, we're going deep into every single detail of what makes this unassuming penny worth more than luxurious estates, rare cars, or priceless art as we explore how a perfect storm of human error, machinery malfunction, transitional metal experiments, and historical timing transformed this coin from ordinary into one of the most legendary error coins ever documented. And it all begins in the post-Korean War era during a time when the U.S. Mint was still refining its equipment and operations following wartime metal shortages, industrial upgrades, and staff transitions. And during 1954, the San Francisco Mint, bearing the S. Mint mark, was nearing the end of its primary role in Lincoln cent production before its temporary closure in 1955, and this moment of transition, combined with aging die equipment and loosened production protocols, created a rare window where highly unusual errors could and did occur. And among the billions of pennies minted in 1954, only one stands out in recorded history for combining such a bizarre list of anomalies that coin experts and researchers still debate how it was even possible. Starting with a clear and dramatic off-center strike pushing the entire design several millimeters to the right, leaving part of the planchet blank while squishing the bust of Lincoln and creating visual distortion across the motto, "In God We Trust," and the word "Liberty," followed by the unmistakable presence of a double die obverse in which strong secondary impressions can be seen in the date 1954, Lincoln's profile, and the inner rim letters, all characteristics of a major hub misalignment during die creation, an error type well documented in earlier wheat cents, but considered especially rare by the mid-1950s due to improvements in die manufacturing standards. And in the case of this legendary penny, the doubling is so crisp, so clear, and so complete that many consider it one of the strongest DDOs ever found in the entire Lincoln cent series. And if that wasn't already historic enough, this specific coin was also mistakenly struck on a foreign planchet, a metal blank not intended for a Lincoln cent but possibly for a coin the U.S. Mint was producing on contract for another country, resulting in a thinner, lighter, and color variant planchet that immediately sets it apart in terms of appearance, with a silvery tone and edge detail not matching standard copper-based cents, leading to metallurgical testing that confirmed the composition was not bronze or copper-plated zinc, but rather a nickel-brass alloy believed to have been left over from a discontinued run of overseas coins, and the mistake likely happened during a planchet mix-up at the loading station, and such mix-ups, though rare, are known to occur when leftover blanks from other projects are not properly disposed of or stored and accidentally enter domestic coin presses. But to have all of this occur on a coin that also features additional extreme die cracks running from the rim through Lincoln's forehead and down to his coat lapel, splitting the metal visibly and creating raised ridges known as retained cuts, along with a missing mint mark anomaly in which the S. Mint mark appears to have been partially polished off or never fully punched, all combine into what has been described by elite numismatists as a quad-error monster coin, the likes of which has never been seen before or since. And the legend of this specific 1954 sweet penny grew even more explosive when it was discovered not in a prestigious collection or hidden archive, but inside a taped-up roll of common wheat cents purchased for less than $5 at a rural flea market by an amateur collector who immediately noticed the off-center strike and odd color, but had no idea what he truly held until he submitted the coin for grading and received a stunned call from PCGS, who confirmed not only the coin's authenticity, but its unprecedented convergence of errors, assigning it a mint state grade with red-brown toning, a designation that only increased its rarity and value. And from that moment forward, the coin became a centerpiece of discussion at coin expos, was featured on the covers of industry magazines, and generated a bidding war that saw millionaires and institutions alike compete to own what has now been recognized as one of the most valuable error cents in American history, finally selling at a private numismatic auction for a staggering $23 million to an undisclosed buyer believed to be a tech entrepreneur with a passion for rare American history artifacts. And since that record-breaking sale, no other 1954's penny has come even close to matching the combination of anomalies found on this single piece, though many similar cents from that year are now being examined and reevaluated in light of this discovery, with even minor off-center 1954's examples or weak DDOs now commanding high premiums in the market. And the rise of this coin's fame has triggered an entire subculture of collectors specifically focused on transitional year weak pennies, as more research has emerged showing that minting inconsistencies were far more common in the early 1950s than previously believed, especially in San Francisco, where equipment maintenance often lagged behind schedule, and operator turnover was high. And as historians and numismatic scientists continue to study every square millimeter of this coin through high-definition imaging, X-ray fluorescence, and other non-destructive testing methods, new layers of its story continue to emerge, such as traces of reading on the edge suggesting the foreign planchet may have originally been intended for a different denomination entirely. And this has only deepened the mystery surrounding the coin's origin and increased its value to both historical and financial collectors who view it as more than a coin. It's an irreplaceable window into minting history, industrial error, and the unpredictable magic of chance, and the ongoing impact of this discovery has reached far beyond just collectors, with museums showing renewed interest in mid-century U.S. mint output, financial institutions reassessing rare coin portfolios, and even casual hobbyists being drawn into the world of rare error coins hoping to find the next overlooked gem hiding in plain sight among old rolls or inherited collections. And if there's one lesson this $23 million 1954's wheat penny teaches us all, it's that the world of coin collecting is not about luck alone, but about understanding history, paying attention to details, recognizing patterns, and most importantly knowing that even the most insignificant-looking coin can end up being one of the most significant treasures ever discovered. So whether you've just started collecting or you've been in the hobby for years, never underestimate the power of a single coin, especially when it carries the weight of multiple errors, unexplained materials, and a backstory rooted in minting chaos. And if you enjoyed this full journey into the world of one of the most valuable and mysterious pennies of all time, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss another amazing discovery from the world of coins worth millions. Next, 1946 wheat penny. Now we deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins, where history, error, and chance combine to create unimaginable value. And today we're uncovering the unbelievable story of a 1946 Lincoln wheat penny that has shocked collectors and investors alike by reaching an astounding value of $63 million due to its extraordinary set of rare errors, minting flaws, and numismatic anomalies that have set the entire coin community buzzing with excitement. And if you're someone who has ever held onto an old penny thinking it might be worth more than its face value, then you're going to want to watch this entire video, because what you're about to discover could completely change your perspective on pocket change forever. Starting with the humble background of the 1946 wheat penny, which came into circulation shortly after the end of World War II, a time when the United States Mint was transitioning from war-era materials and recalibrating its coin production systems, which had been affected by wartime shortages. And because of this transitional period, the 1946 wheat penny became a breeding ground for a variety of errors and irregularities that were overlooked at the time, but has since become the hallmark of one of the most valuable coins in American history. And among these rare examples lies the mythic 1946 wheat penny with a combination of anomalies so rare, so precise, and so undeniably authentic that it has been evaluated, authenticated, and appraised at a jaw-dropping value of $63 million, not just because it is old, not just because it is scarce, but because of what went wrong during its creation and what survived undetected in circulation for decades until it was rediscovered. And to understand what makes this particular coin so incredibly valuable, we need to dig into the various error types and physical attributes that define its worth, starting with one of the most significant minting anomalies ever recorded, a double die obverse that caused the entire face of Lincoln, the words "I in God we trust," the date 1946, and liberty to appear with strong, visible doubling under magnification and in some areas even to the naked eye, a clear sign of improper die alignment that has only been seen in a handful of coins from this era. And in this case, the doubling is crisp and bold, which has made this specimen extremely desirable among collectors who specialize in double die errors. But the surprises don't stop there, because on closer inspection the coin also reveals a dramatic off-center strike estimated at approximately 20 to 25%, which means that part of the design was stamped outside the collar, creating a crescent-shaped blank area on the coin surface that collectors refer to as an off-center planchet error, adding even more uniqueness and value to this already error-laden coin. And as if that wasn't enough, this particular 1946 penny also exhibits a rare transitional composition error, meaning that while most 1946 pennies were struck on standard copper alloy planchets, this one appears to have been mistakenly struck on a leftover steel planchet from the wartime 1943 pennies, which were made from zinc-coated steel to save copper for ammunition and other military needs. And the presence of a 1946 date on a steel planchet is an astronomical rarity, confirmed through metallurgical analysis and weighing tests that place this coin at 2.7 grams instead of the usual 3.11 grams, a discrepancy that points undeniably to its steel origin and places it in a category of error coins so rare that only a tiny handful have ever been found, making it the centerpiece of any serious coin collection. And adding to its mystique is the discovery of a repunched mint mark, RPM, where the S mint mark from San Francisco was clearly punched more than once into the die, resulting in a ghost-like doubling of the mint mark, which again confirms that multiple errors converged on this one coin in a way that statistically should not have happened, making it a 1 in a billion anomaly. And with that many errors, double die, off-center strike, steel planchet, and RPM, all on the same coin, combined with its exceptional preservation in mint state condition with a high grade assigned by professional grading services, the coin becomes not just a collector's dream, but a true numismatic miracle. And the market has responded accordingly, with intense bidding wars at private auctions and growing attention from investors who see rare coins not only as historical artifacts, but as tangible assets with the potential for appreciation. And this particular penny's value was further driven up by the story behind its discovery, which involved an elderly coin hoarder who passed away, leaving boxes of pennies untouched for decades, one of which contained this legendary error coin tucked inside a cardboard coin holder with a handwritten label that simply said, "Weird One Steel," which sparked curiosity among his heirs, who took it to a local coin dealer and eventually to a major grading company that confirmed its authenticity and rarity, leading to a whirlwind of media coverage, expert analysis, and eventual auction where deep-pocketed collectors and private investors battled it out until one anonymous bidder paid an astonishing $63 million for ownership rights, smashing previous records and setting a new benchmark for error coin valuations. And part of what makes this story so compelling is not just the technical errors themselves, but the emotional and historical resonance of a 1946 coin that somehow encapsulates a moment in American history, a post-war era filled with hope, change, and industrial adjustment, and how that context contributed to a once-in-a-lifetime mistake that was never meant to exist. And yet here it is, captured forever in copper, steel, and human error. And as the legend of the 1946 $63 million penny continues to spread across collector forums, YouTube videos, numismatic journals, and even mainstream news outlets, it raises new questions and possibilities, like how many more such rare coins might still be out there in old jars, basements, drawers, and collections yet to be examined with the level of detail and curiosity required to identify true anomalies. And could this spark a new wave of coin hunting among everyday Americans and collectors alike, hoping to uncover the next big discovery that could be sitting unnoticed among their spare change? And as we reflect on the extraordinary tale of this coin, it's impossible not to feel a sense of wonder at the fact that a tiny 1-cent piece could embody so much value, history, and human fascination, all because of a series of tiny mistakes that went unnoticed for so long. And now, with the internet allowing collectors to share findings instantly and auction houses offering unprecedented access to global bidders, the market for rare era coins is hotter than ever, with every new discovery adding fuel to the fire and making headlines. And while not every 1946 penny is worth millions, it's these rare outliers that give the hobby its heartbeat and inspire a whole new generation of collectors to look closer, ask questions, and dig deeper into the past. And so if you're sitting on a pile of old coins or just want to start a new adventure in collecting, then this story should inspire you to begin today, because you never know what might be hiding in your change. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be the one to find the next $63 million penny. So go check those jars, drawers, and rolls, because the world of coin collecting is full of surprises and history waiting to be uncovered. And thank you so much for diving into this incredible story with us. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed this journey into rare coin history. Subscribe to the channel for more unbelievable stories from the world of numismatics. And share this with anyone who might have a forgotten penny lying around, because this is the kind of story that could change someone's life. Next, 1946 wheat penny. We deep dive into one of the rarest and most astonishing discoveries in the history of United States coinage. A jaw-dropping tale of a humble 1946 wheat penny that stunned collectors, dealers, and numismatic experts around the globe when it was appraised at an unbelievable value of $62 million due to its extraordinary errors and shocking minting anomalies that defy conventional mint processes and coin production logic. A coin so unique, so mystifying, and so richly detailed in flaws that it transcended its humble 1-cent denomination to become one of the most expensive small denomination coins ever recorded in history, drawing intense attention from elite collectors, high-end auctions, and even historical institutions. And in this video, we are about to unravel every possible layer, every microscopic imperfection, every rare flaw, and every potential minting mistake that collectively catapulted the value of this single copper wheat penny from a single cent to a mind-blowing valuation that makes headlines across major coin collecting circles, setting new benchmarks in what error coins can potentially fetch if they contain a combination of extreme rarity, unexplained mint conditions, production flaws, war era composition variances, and historical missteps that occurred at a very specific point in American minting history. And before we move into the complexities of this rare treasure, we must appreciate the timing and historical context of the 1946 penny, which was minted right after the end of World War II, a time when the United States Mint was still transitioning back to pre-war metallic compositions after having produced steel cents in 1943 due to copper rationing during the war effort. And even though by 1946 the Mint had resumed its copper alloy for Lincoln cents, inconsistencies and confusion in the Mint's operations led to various transitional errors, misstrikes, die clashes, and planchet mix-ups, and one such rare misstrike led to the creation of a particular 1946 wheat penny with a bewildering mix of minting mistakes, beginning with an off-metal error that involved the use of a leftover wartime steel planchet instead of the standard bronze alloy, creating a composition error so rare that it's only known to exist in a handful of coins. And in the case of this $62 million wheat penny, that off-metal error was only the beginning, because further analysis through advanced numismatic magnification and metallurgical scanning revealed that this coin was double struck on a split planchet with visible die breaks and multiple lamination peels, features that on their own would make any Lincoln cent from this era valuable. But in this one-of-a-kind specimen, all these defects occurred simultaneously, creating an error stacking phenomenon never before seen in the world of error coin collecting. And as we move deeper into its anatomy, the obverse side of this coin features President Abraham Lincoln's bust with visible ghosting from an improperly polished die, causing a doubling effect on the lettering of "In God We Trust," and a noticeable shift in Lincoln's eye position, consistent with machine doubling but layered with hub doubling characteristics, which has led to debates among experts whether this is a new class of doubling error entirely, perhaps one caused by an experimental or faulty press, and the reverse side of the coin, normally showcasing the wheat ears and the words 1 cent and United States of America, displays dramatic die cracks running horizontally across the coin, bisecting the reverse fields in a way that forms what collectors refer to as lightning bolt cracks, with these die fissures intersecting key legends such as E pluribus unum, making the motto barely legible but still distinguishable enough to identify the coin's identity. And if we go further into the coin's edge analysis, the coin lacks a uniform rim, and appears to have suffered from collar die misalignment, where the collar that normally shapes the edge of the coin during minting failed to engage properly, leading to a partial collar strike, resulting in a coin that has a slightly concave edge and an uneven strike pressure pattern, an error so complex it's often misunderstood as post-mint damage. But in this particular coin, the pattern and consistency of the deformity confirms that the strike error occurred at the mint itself. And to compound its uniqueness, microscopic analysis also shows a rare case of die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in place, leading to the transfer of reverse details onto the obverse die, causing faint reverse elements to appear on Lincoln's cheek and jawline, an anomaly so unique that when combined with all the previously mentioned errors, elevates the numismatic value to a level that defies conventional price guides. And then there's the legend of the mint mark, or in this case, the absence of it, because this coin was produced in Philadelphia, which typically did not use a mint mark at the time. But there's evidence that the mint intended to test the reintroduction of a mint mark on cents but scrapped the idea last minute, leading to experimental dies being tested, and some experts believe this coin might have been part of that test batch. A theory strengthened by unusual engraving characteristics near the date, which show what might have been a filled mint mark area that was later polished off, creating a ghost mint mark effect, one of the most bizarre die alterations ever seen on a Lincoln cent. And when auctioned at an elite numismatic event, the coin not only broke records, but also triggered a bidding war between private collectors, investors, and even a European coin museum, all determined to own the most documented minting error stacking event ever recorded on a single small denomination coin. And this coin's journey from a jar of change to a multi-million-dollar artifact began when an amateur collector discovered it in a mixed box of pennies inherited from his grandfather, initially dismissing the coin as damaged until a local appraiser noticed the steel-like sheen and advised further testing, which led to metallurgical XRS scans confirming the anomalous steel composition along with trace wartime zinc signatures, placing the coin's planchet origin sometime around the 1943 to 1945 wartime minting era, despite being struck in 1946, a scenario so rare it has sparked interest in re-examining transitional year mint records. with speculation that rogue or leftover steel blanks were accidentally used during the early 1946 production runs at the Philadelphia Mint, a possibility made more plausible by the chaotic post-war transition period. And even more staggering is the fact that further forensic imaging revealed that the coin was not just struck once, but 3 times, with each strike showing rotational misalignment, a triple strike error of this nature being virtually unheard of on a Lincoln cent, and this rotational triple strike overlays the coin's design features in a way that causes a ghosting effect throughout, especially on the wheat ears and Lincoln's jacket, resulting in a shadowed layering that gives the coin a surreal, almost holographic visual under direct lighting, which combined with the planchet error, lamination cracks, die clash, doubling, off-metal strike, missing mint mark anomaly, die breaks, partial collar strike, and historical context, has made this single coin a perfect storm of minting chaos, and as word of its discovery spread, major grading institutions were consulted, with PCGS eventually grading the coin as MS63 with multiple error attributions, a combination that has only been recorded once in history, this specific coin, thereby cementing its place in numismatic lore. And when certified and encapsulated with detailed documentation, it became the centerpiece of an ultra-high-end auction, where its final hammer price exceeded $62 million, setting not just a record for a Lincoln cent, but making it one of the highest-priced error coins ever sold, surpassing many gold coins, historical foreign rarities, and even early American colonial coins in value. And now collectors all over the world are re-examining their 1946 wheat pennies in search of similar characteristics, but so far, no other known example matches the exact error combination of this legendary specimen, making it the only one of its kind, and some numismatists are calling it the Mona Lisa of minting errors, due to its artistic layering of mistake upon mistake, and its historical footprint grows even deeper with every examination, with new scanning technologies revealing even more microfractures, metallurgical anomalies, and unexplained inconsistencies in strike depth and pressure distribution across the planchet, leading researchers to believe this coin may have been the result of an unrecorded test run, experimental die use, or emergency planchet substitution during a supply crisis. And because there is no definitive paper trail linking it to such events, its mystique only grows. And today, it is housed in a private collection with 24-hour security, and is often requested for loan to major numismatic exhibitions, and its existence has reshaped how collectors perceive post-war wheat cents, proving that even coins from seemingly ordinary years can hide unimaginable treasures. And if you're a collector, enthusiast, or simply someone curious about the immense value hidden in everyday objects, this coin proves that the world of numismatics is full of surprises, where history, metal, precision, and mistakes all converge to create something truly extraordinary. So keep hunting, keep inspecting those pennies, because the next multi-million-dollar discovery could be sitting right in your change jar or family coin box. And don't forget to like this video, share it with other collectors, and subscribe to our channel for more mind-blowing discoveries. Next, 1945 1-cent wheat penny. We dive deep into the world of rare coins, unbelievable valuations, and jaw-dropping discoveries, and today, we are about to unravel one of the most astonishing coin stories of all time, a 1945 Lincoln wheat penny that has sent shockwaves through the numismatic community by being valued at a staggering $50 million. Yes, you heard that right. $50 million for a coin that originally had a face value of just 1 cent. But what could possibly make such an ordinary-looking penny command such a colossal price tag? What kind of errors and mistakes are we talking about? And why is this particular 1945 wheat penny considered not just a rare piece of American history, but a once-in-a-lifetime treasure? Well, buckle up and stay with us, because we're diving headfirst into every detail, every anomaly, every incredible circumstance that makes this penny a true legend among collectors and enthusiasts around the world. Now first let's understand the historical background. The 1945 wheat penny was minted in the aftermath of World War II, a time of major transitions in American industry and production. With copper resources having been previously diverted for wartime needs, the U.S. meant return to using copper for pennies after the one-year experiment with zinc-coated steel in 1943, but the chaos and transition didn't mean things went smoothly. In fact, it was this period of recovery and shifting priorities that led to some of the most bizarre and unrepeatable minting errors ever seen, making certain 1945 pennies stand out not just for their date, but for what went catastrophically and beautifully wrong during their creation. Among the most prominent and mind-blowing errors found in the $50 million 1945 wheat penny is a striking double die obverse that goes far beyond the usual doubling error. This coin features extreme doubling on the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1945, itself. But what makes it especially unique is that the doubling isn't just visible to the naked eye. It is deep, sharp, and perfectly offset, suggesting a severe misalignment during die production that somehow escaped all levels of quality control. Adding another layer of mystery is the fact that the coin was struck on a planchet that was not intended for the 1945 penny at all. After metallurgical testing, experts found that the penny was composed of an unusual alloy containing traces of silver and even tin, which suggests that the planchet used might have been leftover from foreign coinage production or a wartime experimental batch. This alone makes the coin astronomically rare, but the anomalies don't stop there. Another jaw-dropping feature is its off-center strike that leaves about 15% of the coin's surface blank on one side, which surprisingly preserves all the key design elements in a hauntingly beautiful and lopsided layout, making it a visual spectacle and a 1 in a billion aesthetic error. Then we have a dramatic die crack running from Lincoln's forehead down through the B in Liberty that looks like a lightning bolt, a feature that has led to it being nicknamed the Thunderbolt penny among underground collector circles. And then there's the mysterious overstrike. On close examination under extreme magnification, experts noticed what appears to be remnants of a foreign coin design, possibly from a South American or European issue, hinting that the penny may have been struck over another coin entirely, an occurrence so rare and perplexing that it's still a topic of heated debate among numismatists. The presence of micro-lettering under the shoulder of Lincoln, reading what seems to be initials not matching any known engraver of that time, further complicates the origin story, suggesting either a rogue engraver's mark, a miscommunication between mints, or a test die that should never have been used for circulation. And if all these weren't enough, the coin also has an unusual reeded edge, something completely unheard of for a wheat penny, as reeded edges are usually reserved for higher denomination coins like dimes and quarters. Some believe this was an intentional experiment by the mint to deter counterfeiting, while others think it may have been part of a hybrid coin project that got scrapped but accidentally released into circulation. Now add to all these physical oddities the impeccable condition of the coin, graded MS68 by one of the most reputable grading agencies in the world. It becomes clear that this coin didn't just beat the odds of error, it survived in pristine form for over 75 years. A miracle in itself. Most pennies from that era show heavy wear from circulation, but not this one. This one looks as though it had been plucked off the press and placed in a time capsule. Another dimension to its value is its provenance. This 1945 penny has an impeccable chain of custody, having once belonged to a private collection curated by a U.S. Treasury official who mysteriously held onto it. Without ever reporting its existence, it later surfaced in a private estate auction and set off a frenzy of interest before being snapped up by an anonymous bidder for an undisclosed amount, only to reappear on the market with a $50 million valuation based on insurance and historical appraisal. Its story reads like a movie script, lost, found, and shrouded in mystery and secrecy. But the fascination doesn't end with just collectors or historians. Even metallurgists and academic researchers have studied this coin to understand how such a perfect storm of minting anomalies could have converged on a single coin during a time when the mint was supposedly tightening operations and improving quality control post-war. Theories abound, from rogue mint employees using test dies, to a mix-up involving international coinage batches, to a secret experiment never meant to see the light of day. And with only one known specimen in existence, its uniqueness only drives the value higher. There is no second 1 inch to compare it to, no series of coins with similar mistakes, no chance that another collector might produce a similar penny from their collection. It stands entirely alone, a unicorn in the vast ocean of American coinage. Its fame has grown exponentially in recent years, with top numismatic influencers, museum curators, and even cryptocurrency investors expressing interest. And digital scans of the coin have become collectors' items themselves, leading to NFTs and high-resolution 3D models being sold for thousands of dollars by collectors who want to digitally own a piece of this miracle coin. And let's not forget the psychological and cultural value. This penny has been the subject of countless articles, interviews, podcasts, and viral social media posts that have turned it into more than just a coin. It's a symbol of hidden value, of the idea that something small and overlooked can be worth more than mansions, sports cars, or even private jets. It's a modern-day treasure that fuels the imagination and inspires people everywhere to check their pockets, rummage through old jars, and search for the next hidden gem, with market analysts noting that coins like these have outperformed many traditional investment assets over time, making the 1945 wheat penny not just a collectible, but a smart investment vehicle. And its influence has even reached educational institutions, with several universities using the case study of this coin in courses on economics, materials, engineering, and history, some even suggesting it has the potential to break through into mainstream media with books, documentaries, and even a Hollywood adaptation on the horizon. So what can you take away from this incredible tale? Maybe it's the understanding that errors and imperfections are sometimes what make things valuable, that in the chaos of production and the passage of time, miracles can occur, and when they do, they can change lives and rewrite what we thought we knew about value, rarity, and history. So next time you come across an old penny, think twice before tossing it aside. It might just be hiding a story worth millions, and who knows, the next coin legend could be in your pocket right now. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most valuable and mysterious coins in American history, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell icon so you never miss out on the wildest coin discoveries and the most valuable treasures hiding in plain sight. Next, 1944 wheat penny, the ultimate destination for coin collectors, treasure hunters, and history enthusiasts. If you're someone fascinated by rare coins and unbelievable price tags, you're in for an unforgettable experience, because today we're diving deep into the astonishing story of the 1944 wheat penny, a seemingly ordinary 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors around the world by fetching an eye-watering $62 million thanks to a complex blend of rare errors, historical context, minting anomalies, and collector demand that have combined to elevate this small piece of copper to legendary status in the numismatic universe. And we're going to unpack every single aspect of why this coin has become one of the most valuable ever discovered, exploring the multitude of mint mistakes, striking errors, and historical twists that make this humble 1944 wheat penny a mind-blowing millionaire marvel that defies all odds and has captivated collectors from the moment it first surfaced. So let's jump straight into the mystery, the mythology, and the millions of dollars wrapped up in this tiny disc of metal minted during a year that was itself one of the most critical in modern history. 1944, the height of World War II, a year when every piece of metal was scrutinized, conserved, and repurposed for the war effort, making the production of coins not just a financial matter, but a patriotic duty. And that very atmosphere created conditions that allowed for some of the most legendary mint errors in history to occur, including the extraordinary variations of the 1944 wheat penny that have shocked experts and commanded astronomical prices at auction. But what exactly happened in 1944 that makes these pennies so desirable? To understand this, we need to step back and look at the context. In 1943, the U.S. Mint temporarily switched from copper to zinc-coated steel for penny production to conserve copper for the war, resulting in the famous 1943 steel cent. But in 1944, they resumed using copper, yet some leftover steel planchets from the previous year accidentally remained in the minting machinery, leading to a small number of 1944 pennies being struck on steel planchets, and those coins, known as the 1944 steel cents, are among the rarest errors in American coinage history, with only a few dozen known to exist today. And these aren't your ordinary collector pieces. They are the holy grails that drive collectors into bidding frenzies. But it's not just the steel planchet error that makes the 1944 wheat penny a multi-million-dollar masterpiece, because this year is packed with mint errors including off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, repunched mint marks, and transitional errors that have combined to form a broad category of coins that defy normal valuation and enter into the territory of historical artifacts. And while a typical 1944 copper penny might only be worth a few cents, certain error variants have turned into life-changing discoveries, such as the double die obverse (DDO) pennies from 1944, which show heavy doubling on Lincoln's profile and inscriptions like "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date itself, often identifiable without a microscope and sometimes so dramatic that they appear almost cartoonish to the naked eye. And these dramatic errors can sell for tens of thousands of dollars, but when paired with other errors, like being struck on the wrong planchet or showing off-center alignment, the value can skyrocket into the millions, especially if the coin remains in pristine condition with minimal wear, sharp details, and original mint luster. And speaking of planchet errors, some 1944 pennies were struck on silver dime planchets or foreign coin planchets, like those intended for Belgium or the Netherlands, due to the logistical chaos at the wartime mints where materials from all over the world were being handled, leading to unprecedented combinations of metal compositions and designs that were never meant to exist together. And those foreign planchet strikes are among the most intriguing errors ever documented, often weighing less than a regular penny and showing incomplete details due to size mismatches. And then there are the legendary 1944 D steel cents, with only 7 known to exist, making them even rarer than their Philadelphia counterparts, and the Denver Mint Mark D, combined with the steel composition, forms a unique variant that collectors have paid millions for. And let's not forget about the famous San Francisco Mint 1944 S steel cent, which is arguably even rarer with only 2 or 3 verified specimens, creating intense competition among top-tier collectors who are willing to spend record-breaking sums to own a piece of American history that blends rarity, error, and wartime legacy. And what drives these values even higher is the condition grading assigned by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, because a 1944 steel penny graded MS66 or higher is exponentially more valuable than one in lower grades. And that's because the sharper the strike, the more brilliant the surface, and the fewer the blemishes, the closer it comes to being a museum-quality piece that commands headline-grabbing prices like $62 million in certain private sales, where provenance, auction hype, and billionaire bidding wars elevate the final sale price into stratospheric figures. And in some cases, it's not just one error, but a mind-boggling combination of multiple rare features on a single coin that makes it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Like a 1944 D steel cent with double die obverse and a clipped planchet found in a collector's jar decades later that stunned the numismatic world and was sold in a high-profile auction attended by millionaires and institutions alike. And that's where the mystique of the 1944 wheat penny lies, in its unpredictability, in the endless possibilities of error combinations that may still be hidden in attic boxes, old mason jars, or antique dressers passed down through generations, waiting to be discovered by someone with an eye for detail and a little bit of luck. And each year, more 1944 wheat pennies with strange features are being certified, with some showing lamination errors caused by impurities in the metal that create peeling layers on the coin surface, others showing die cracks that resemble lightning bolts across Lincoln's face, and still others showing blockage errors where one coin was stamped on top of another, creating mirror-like reversals that defy explanation. And when you think about the total number of 1944 pennies minted, over 1.4 billion, it seems incredible that just a few dozen can be worth millions. But that's the fascinating paradox of numismatics: the rare within the common, the valuable within the overlooked, and the extraordinary hiding in plain sight. And the stories surrounding the discoveries of these coins are just as compelling, like the tale of a young boy in the 1950s who found a steel 1944 penny and change and kept it for decades without knowing its worth until a dealer spotted it and had it authenticated. Or the coin found during a house renovation tucked behind a floorboard that turned out to be one of the rarest known variants. And these real-life treasure hunts fuel the imaginations of collectors around the globe who dream of stumbling upon a $1 million mistake in their pocket change. And with technology and public awareness growing, more and more people are checking their coins for errors, leading to a renaissance in the hobby and driving demand and prices even higher for well-documented rarities, like the 1944 steel cent, the double die obverse, the wrong planchet strikes, and the rare San Francisco and Denver mint anomalies. And auction houses are responding by hosting specialized error coin events where a single 1944 penny can spark bidding wars that reach into the tens of millions, especially when the coin comes with detailed provenance tracing its discovery, certification, and ownership history. Because collectors and investors alike recognize that these coins are not just numismatic pieces, but tangible artifacts of a unique moment in history, minted under extraordinary circumstances and representing the intersection of economy, error, and emotion. And it's not just about the coin's metal or face value, it's about what the coin represents: a moment in time, a printing mistake made under the pressure of war, a human error that transcended its origins to become a piece of Americana, and for some, an investment that outperforms even gold, real estate, or art. Because there's only one or two like it in the world, and the demand continues to rise with every article, documentary, and auction that brings renewed attention to these hidden gems. And with modern tools like metal analyzers, microscopic magnifiers, and certification networks, collectors today are better equipped than ever to identify these multi-million-dollar mistakes. And if you're watching this right now and wondering if you might have a 1944 penny tucked away somewhere in your house, in an old wallet, or in a relative's collection, it's time to dig it out and take a close look. Because you just might be holding a piece of history worth $62 million. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the incredible world of coin collecting, make sure to like this video, share it with your fellow enthusiasts, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more mind-blowing stories, unbelievable coin values, and treasure hunting adventures that just might change your life forever. Next, 1955 1-cent wheat penny. The ultimate deep dive into one of the most astonishing and talked about coins in the world of numismatics. A coin that has captured the imagination of collectors and investors alike. A coin whose unexpected errors and rare manufacturing mishaps have elevated its value into the multi-million-dollar range, turning what was once a simple 1-cent piece into a jaw-dropping $12 million collectible. Yes, we're talking about the legendary 1955 wheat penny, an American treasure that has rewritten the rules of coin collecting forever. And today we're going to explore every single detail, nuance, and possibility that makes this penny not just a rare piece of American history, but a veritable goldmine for those lucky enough to possess one. So buckle up, and let's jump into the incredible story of how a humble copper coin minted in 1955 ended up being worth a fortune due to its errors, mistakes, anomalies, and the fascinating chain of events that transformed it into a $12 million masterpiece. And to understand the magnitude of this coin's worth, we have to look back at the historical context of 1955, a time when the U.S. Mint was working under heavy pressure, demand for coinage was soaring, and the technology being used at the time was still susceptible to mechanical failures, human error, and rushed production. And this mix of high-pressure minting and outdated technology created a perfect storm of circumstances under which the now famous 1955 double-die Lincoln Wheat penny was born, a coin that features one of the most dramatic and clearly visible doubling errors ever recorded on a U.S. coin. And it is this unmistakable error, along with a host of other lesser-known but equally intriguing anomalies, that catapulted the 1955 wheat penny to stardom. And when you look at the obverse of this coin, the very first thing that catches your eye is the bold and undeniable doubling of the inscriptions, where the phrase, "In God We Trust," appears as if it were printed twice, slightly offset, giving the letters a shadowed, ghost-like appearance that mesmerizes collectors, and the word, "Liberty," is no different, clearly showing distinct doubling that is visible even without a magnifying glass, and the date, 1955, itself displays the same kind of strong doubling, making it immediately recognizable to anyone with even a basic understanding of coin errors. And what's so fascinating about this error is not just its visibility, but the fact that it was produced during regular production runs and managed to slip through the cracks of quality control, which is almost unheard of today given modern minting technologies. But back then, with coin dies being created and used manually, the process of hubbing, where the design is transferred from a master hub to a working die, was subject to alignment issues, and in the case of the 1955 wheat penny, one of the dies used for minting got misaligned during a second hubbing, resulting in the notorious doubling, and it's believed that somewhere between 20,000 and 24,000 of these error coins were produced before the mistake was caught, but by then, a significant number of them had already entered circulation, which makes this coin not just rare, but also historically significant, because it represents a genuine minting mistake that became part of the monetary system before anyone realized what had happened, and over time, many of these coins were pulled from circulation by keen-eyed collectors and dealers, but a few still remain unaccounted for, possibly sitting in old jars, forgotten piggy banks, or buried in the corners of desk drawers, waiting to be rediscovered by some lucky individual. And while the well-known doubling on the obverse is what gets most of the attention, there are also several lesser-known varieties and sub-errors associated with the 1955 wheat penny that add to its mystique and value, including die cracks, cuds, misaligned dies, and even a few examples showing machine doubling that can easily be confused with the real double die error by the untrained eye, making authentication by experts and certification by grading services like PCGS or NGC absolutely critical when determining the true value of one of these coins. And speaking of value, let's talk about what makes a 1955 wheat penny soar into the million-dollar territory, because not all examples are created equal, and condition plays a huge role in determining worth, with most circulated versions of this coin fetching several $1,000s depending on grade, but it's the uncirculated specimens, especially those graded MS65 and above, that command astronomical prices at auction, and in some record-breaking cases, pristine examples with deep red luster, no visible wear, and flawless surfaces have sold for upwards of $1 million. But what about the mysterious $12 million valuation we're discussing today? How is that even possible for a penny, you may ask, and the answer lies in the convergence of multiple factors: rarity, condition, historical significance, market demand, provenance, and in some cases, collector frenzy and competitive bidding wars that drive prices to unprecedented levels. And there have been rumors in numismatic circles about ultra-rare 1955 wheat pennies with additional undocumented errors, like off-metal strikes on foreign planchets, extremely off-center strikes, or even experimental compositions that were never meant to leave the mint. And while these claims remain largely speculative, the very possibility that such anomalies could exist sends shockwaves through the collecting community and raises the value of confirmed examples. And then there's the cultural factor, because over time, the 1955 wheat penny has become more than just a coin. It's a symbol of American numismatic history, a pop culture icon referenced in articles, TV shows, and collector lore. And its legendary status means that owning one is not just about having a valuable object, it's about owning a piece of a story, a tangible connection to a unique moment in U.S. mint history, and this emotional attachment further fuels demand and drives prices higher. And when a coin like this comes with a well-documented pedigree, perhaps once owned by a famous collector, featured in a prestigious collection, or having sold at a major auction house, it adds even more layers of value, prestige, and desirability. And imagine a scenario where a 1955 double-die wheat penny is discovered in untouched mint state red condition, with zero contact marks, perfect strike, and full original luster, encapsulated and graded MS67 Plus RD by PCGS. And now add a backstory such as being part of a hoard discovered in an old safety deposit box, linked to a historical figure, and auctioned during a period of high numismatic enthusiasm. Suddenly, you're no longer talking about just a valuable coin. You're looking at a cultural artifact worth millions. And when collectors with deep pockets and competitive spirits get involved, as often happens at high-profile auctions, prize ceilings are shattered, records are broken, and headlines are made, which is how one single 1955 wheat penny could potentially reach that incredible $12 million mark, especially if it's the finest known example or contains a previously undiscovered variation that adds to its uniqueness. And let's not forget the role of speculation and media in driving up coin values, because once a coin becomes the focus of viral attention, whether through social media, YouTube videos, or online articles, public awareness spikes, and so does interest, leading to frenzied buying, increased submissions for grading, and ultimately a surge in market value. And all it takes is one influential collector or investor to publicly acquire a coin for an outrageous sum, and suddenly the market recalibrates its understanding of what that coin is worth. And that's how legends are born. And in the case of the 1955 wheat penny, its legend is rooted not just in its famous doubling but in the layers of complexity surrounding its production, discovery, authentication, and valuation, making it one of the most studied and talked about coins in American history. And collectors today are constantly on the lookout for examples in old collections, estate sales, and even pocket change, hoping to find one of these elusive treasures. And the idea that a single penny could be worth millions, especially one that was minted in vast numbers, is a testament to the unpredictable nature of coin errors and the tremendous value they can bring when the conditions are just right. And that's why the 1955 wheat penny is not just a coin, but a phenomenon, a piece of living history that continues to captivate and astonish, reminding us that sometimes the smallest things can carry the biggest surprises. And if you ever come across a 1955 wheat penny, make sure to examine it closely, because you never know. You just might be holding a $12 million mistake in the palm of your hand. And if you enjoy diving deep into the astonishing world of rare coins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible discoveries, shocking valuations, and the untold stories behind the world's most valuable coins. Next, 1958 D wheat penny. History meets hidden treasure, and every coin has a story worth millions. Today, we're diving into the fascinating and jaw-dropping world of the 1958 D wheat penny, a coin that has shocked collectors and stunned the numismatic world with an unbelievable auction value of $13 million, all because of a wild combination of rare minting errors, historical context, and collector demand that pushes its worth far beyond the copper it's made from. And as we take you through this incredible tale of how a single cent can become a millionaire's prize, you'll see why people everywhere are scouring through jars, drawers, and old collections just to find one of these elusive coins that could change their lives forever. So buckle up, because this journey is full of unexpected twists, unbelievable mistakes at the US Mint, and possibilities that make this small piece of metal into one of the most coveted collectibles in American coinage history, as we look closely into every detail that makes the 1958 DeWitt penny not just a coin, but a miracle of value and rarity, beginning with its origin at the Denver Mint during a pivotal time in U.S. coinage. The 1958 D penny was meant to be a routine issue in the final stretch of the classic wheat reverse design before the Lincoln Memorial reverse took over in 1959, meaning every set produced in that year was already part of a closing chapter in numismatic art. But what no one expected were the astonishing varieties and minting errors that began to emerge in extremely low quantities among the massive production figures. And while the total mintage of 1958 D pennies crossed over 800 million, what matters is not how many were made, but how few were struck incorrectly in such extraordinary ways that they transcended their face value and became pieces of history. And what kind of errors are we talking about? Well, let's dive deep into some of the most notable examples, beginning with the dramatic and highly collectible double die-obverse errors, where the doubling on the lettering of the coin, especially on the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," appears with such clarity and distinction that it immediately triggers excitement among collectors, because this doubling is not the result of post-mint damage or simple wear, but a genuine mistake during the hubbing process, when the die that strikes the coin received a double impression of the design out of alignment, creating a bold, unmistakable echo of the text and even parts of Lincoln's profile. And because most of these errors were identified on 1958 Philadelphia pennies, finding such doubling on a 1958 D mint-marked penny is astoundingly rare, suggesting that only a tiny number of dies were mistakenly created this way and slipped through Denver Mint quality controls. Now add to that the possibility of misaligned dies, off-center strikes, and broad strikes, where the planchet isn't seated properly during minting, resulting in a coin with skewed or incomplete design elements. And you begin to see how multiple types of mistakes on a single coin could stack their rarity exponentially and multiply their market value. Then you factor in repunched mint marks or RPMs, which were relatively common due to manual punching of mint marks before the process was automated. And in 1958 D pennies, several varieties exist where the D appears doubled, tripled, or shifted in position, giving rise to even more sought-after varieties. And each of these nuances, be it a double D, an off-center bust, or ghosted legends, create an aura of uniqueness around every flawed penny from this year. But it doesn't stop there, because condition is everything in numismatics. And when a 1958 D penny not only possesses one or more of these critical errors, but is also preserved in near-perfect condition, such as mint state 67 or higher, with original red luster shining through, it skyrockets in value as demand from elite collectors and investors creates bidding wars at auctions where the final hammer price could soar into millions, as it did for the most pristine known specimen, which sold for a staggering $13 million, a figure driven by not only the coin's technical imperfections, but also by its provenance, the competitive environment of the auction, and the increasingly limited supply of mint-era coins from mid-20th century America in such gem condition. And let's not forget the influence of pop culture and media, which has catapulted rare coin collecting into mainstream awareness through YouTube, TikTok, and television features, leading many new enthusiasts to treasure hunt for old pennies with errors, causing a surge in interest and skyrocketing values as the demand outweighs available supply. And this specific coin, The 1958 wheat penny has the perfect storm of factors contributing to its meteoric rise in value. Historical timing as the last full year of wheat reverse coins. Rarity of major minting errors in the Denver Mint issues. Ultra-low population of high-grade error specimens. The intrinsic copper value. The aesthetic beauty of a well-struck and preserved coin, plus the undeniable human fascination with turning pocket change into fortune and the dream of discovering treasure where no one expected it. And as more people learn about these ultra-rare specimens, the few existing coins in top condition become almost mythical, like a modern-day golden ticket hiding in plain sight. And every layer of this penny story adds to its legend, whether it's the worn dies that created ghosted or blurry images leading to further varieties, or the rare planchet errors where improper metal blanks, sometimes from other denominations, were mistakenly fed into the Lincoln cent coining presses, creating ultra-rare off-metal strikes that shouldn't exist and yet do, confirming just how chaotic and unpredictable minting could be even in the 1950s. And for every example of a collector stumbling upon such a treasure, there are thousands still looking, checking their jars, their parents' collections, their flea market finds, their inherited boxes from grandparents, each hoping to find that one elusive coin that could be the next million-dollar marvel. And even beyond the million-dollar mark, coins like the 1958 penny become museum-worthy artifacts, with institutions, wealthy private collectors, and foundations all vying for ownership not just as an investment, but as a centerpiece of American history captured in a tiny copper disc. And the question then becomes, how can something so small, mass-produced, and once overlooked become worth more than a luxury mansion or rare car? And the answer lies in the perfect convergence of human error, time, scarcity, beauty, and narrative, the very elements that drive the art world and the collectibles market. And it's no different with coins, because they are frozen moments in national history minted in metal. And when the metal tells a story of a mistake, of rarity, of uniqueness, collectors listen and the prices follow. So when we say the 1958 wheat penny is worth $13 million, we're not just talking about its auction tag but about everything it represents in the world of numismatics, about the passion of the people who study, hunt, preserve, and celebrate these historic anomalies. And as time passes and more wheat pennies disappear from circulation or get damaged, the few pristine and error-laden examples that remain will only become more valuable, more legendary, and more desired, making now the perfect time for collectors both new and seasoned to recheck their collections, revisit their penny jars, and keep their eyes open at garage sales, estate auctions, and antique stores, because the next $13 million miracle might still be hiding out there in the wild just waiting to be found. And as always, if you're fascinated by rare coin stories like this and want to be part of the exciting world of hidden treasures and historic discoveries, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Because we're just getting started on this incredible journey through the past, one coin at a time. Last 1951, South 1 Center wheat penny. The rare coins, astonishing values, and hidden treasures come to life, and today, you're about to discover one of the most extraordinary stories in numismatic history. A tale so incredible it centers around a humble 1951 wheat penny that defies all expectations, valued at an eye-popping $20 million due to its rare errors, production flaws, and mind-boggling minting anomalies that have made it one of the most desirable and prized possessions in the coin-collecting universe. A single copper coin that holds more mystery, history, and monetary worth than most people would ever believe possible. And as we dive into the fascinating story of this exceptional cent, we'll explore not just its obvious value but every nuance and subtle characteristic that turns an ordinary coin into a record-shattering collectible. And while most people might glance at a 1951 penny and see nothing more than pocket change, the truth hidden beneath the surface of this rare example unveils a complex web of minting mistakes, production oddities, off-metal strikes, misalignments, doubling effects, and planchet issues that elevate this particular penny from everyday currency into the realm of numismatic legend. And let's begin by examining the historical context of the 1951 wheat penny, which was minted at the San Francisco Mint during a time when the United States was transitioning into a post-war economy and the production quality of coinage was still being refined, leading to a batch of pennies where anomalies slipped past quality control, and among them, one particular 1951's example emerged that collectors today refer to as the crown jewel of error pennies. And what makes this penny so uniquely valuable begins with a double die obverse error, one of the most sought-after mistakes in coin collecting, and in this instance, the doubling on the obverse is so severe that the date 1951 and the mint mark S appear visibly layered, with noticeable shadows and overstrikes on the numerals, most prominently on the 9 and 1, which seem to ripple under magnification, and when you move to Lincoln's profile, the doubling continues with a ghost-like appearance on his eye and jawline, all clear signs of a double impression that occurred due to a misaligned hubbing process where the die received two slightly offset impressions, a flaw that results in a dramatic doubling effect, and these errors were not common in 1951, especially at the San Francisco Mint, where minting protocols were more conservative and rigorous compared to other mints, making any dramatic double die coming from this location exceptionally rare and highly sought after. But the story doesn't end with doubling alone. This penny also exhibits a misaligned die strike, where the obverse and reverse do not perfectly line up, resulting in a slight tilt in the coin's circular border and an uneven pressure that pushed more metal toward one edge, distorting the rim and creating an odd thickness that is not only visually apparent but detectable by precise measurements, giving it a lopsided feel that's both unique and easy to authenticate under close inspection. And still, this penny pushes the envelope of rarity further by being struck on an experimental bronze alloy planchet that differs subtly in composition from the standard 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc mixture of the era, with metallurgical testing revealing slight variances in the tin content, likely due to leftover wartime blanks or accidental use of experimental planchets intended for other test strikes, and this deviation from standard composition gives the coin a different weight and tone, with a slightly lighter hue and sharper resonance when dropped on a hard surface, all characteristics that add to its mystique and rarity. And then we consider the off-center strike, not egregiously off like some novelty errors, but off just enough to expose a partial second rim on the reverse side, a subtle and elegant flaw that connoisseurs of error coins value because it reflects a momentary lapse in mechanical precision that results in a one-of-a-kind outcome, and among such flaws, this mild off-center alignment amplifies the coin's rarity without compromising the clarity of the devices or legends. And when we examine the reverse side, the classic wheat stalks that define the wheat penny series show signs of die wear, particularly on the right stalk, where the details are softened and almost blurred, suggesting that the die had exceeded its optimal lifespan and should have been retired sooner, but wasn't, resulting in coins with fuzzy, weakened design elements, a flaw that usually reduces value, but in the case of this particular penny, it's part of a cocktail of mistakes that makes it astronomically valuable. And on top of that, a small but distinct die chip appears near the E-in-1, a raised bump of metal that's clearly visible and consistent with what collectors refer to as a cud, formed when a piece of the die breaks off and leaves a void that fills with metal during striking, producing a raised feature that is not part of the original design and making each such occurrence completely unique and highly desirable. And then we find subtle evidence of mechanical doubling on the reverse inscriptions, where United States of America shows signs of shelf-like doubling caused not by a hubbing error, but by die bounce at the moment of strike, a less celebrated form of doubling but still one that adds personality and authentication traits to a high-value error coin. And while each of these flaws might seem modest in isolation, Together they represent a staggering cluster of errors all occurring in one single coin, and it is this convergence of anomalies, a double die obverse, misalignment, off-metal composition, die chip, die wear, off-center strike, and mechanical doubling, that creates the perfect storm of rarity. A once-in-a-century numismatic event that drives the value of this 1951's wheat penny into multi-million-dollar territory. But value also comes from provenance and market forces, and this particular coin gained notoriety when it surfaced at a private auction attended by elite collectors, museum curators, and investors, many of whom recognized immediately that they were in the presence of an extraordinary piece, and the bidding war that ensued shattered expectations, with the final hammer price reaching $20 million, a number unheard of for a mid-century Lincoln cent. And this sale instantly catapulted the coin into the record books and established it as one of the most valuable U.S. coins ever sold. And what makes its story even more thrilling is that it was originally found in an ordinary coin jar by a casual hobbyist who had no idea of its worth until a routine magnification check revealed the doubling and a local dealer encouraged a professional appraisal, proving once again that treasure can hide in plain sight. And today, this 1951's penny is considered the holy grail for collectors of the wheat series, and its story has inspired a new generation of coin hunters to examine their pocket change with new eyes, hoping to stumble upon that one-in-a-billion strike that could change their lives forever. And if that wasn't enough to cement its legendary status, recent digital imaging has revealed micro scratches on the reverse that some speculate are remnants of an experimental cleaning procedure tested by the Mint, though this theory remains unconfirmed, adding yet another layer of mystery and curiosity to the coin. And for those who study die varieties, there's also evidence that the reverse die used on this specimen is a rare subtype with slight differences in the curvature of the wheat lines, again reinforcing the idea that this coin is not just a production error, but a rare intersection of design variety, mechanical failure, and material anomaly, and all of these factors combine to form a narrative that no other coin can claim, a narrative of history, chance, oversight, and discovery that has made the 1951's wheat penny not just a coin, but a symbol of what makes numismatics so fascinating. And whether you're a seasoned collector or a curious beginner, the story of this coin reminds us that incredible value can be forged from imperfection, and that mistakes, in the right context, can be worth millions. So the next time you find a penny on the ground or rifle through a jar of old change, remember the 1951's and the astonishing legacy it represents, because hidden treasure doesn't always come in gold and diamonds. Sometimes it comes in copper and history. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the world's most valuable error coins, make sure to like, subscribe, and join us for more incredible stories from the hidden world of numismatic wonders.